Hi there, welcome to my views and news. An explosive interview by Debretsion Gebremichael, TPLF chairman, former president of Tigray. What did he say? Does he want PM Abiy and Isas Afwerki to be held accountable to face a trial at an international court? What did he say about the withdrawal of Amhara forces, Eritrean forces, Eritrea Abiy alliance? It seemed as if he was talking about another country, not about Ethiopia. It seemed as if he is not an Ethiopian. This interview is one of the strongest interviews of Debretsion Gebremichael at a time when TPLF and Prosperity Party are being seen as new allies. We have to analyze Debretsian's interview, but let's have a look at what he said first. Then we'll analyze why did he say all this. Debretsion Gebremichael, is the chairman of Tigray People's Liberation Front. He was the president of Tigray, elected in 2020 by a regional election which was rejected by the parliament, by federal government of Ethiopia. Then war broke out. After the war, Debretsion wanted to continue as president, but PM Abiy refused to accept him, and then Getachew was chosen, and Getachew was appointed as the president, interim president of Tigray. Debretsion gave an interview to Radio France a few hours ago. The questions are in French. Debretsion responded obviously in English, but you can see the subtitles in Amharic, in English. So it's not difficult to understand what he said, which questions were asked. Firstly, at the start of this interview, Debretsion accused the federal government of Ethiopia that it was deliberately delaying the implementation of Pretoria deal. Delay is not administrative. It is more than administrative. He said it is more than administrative. There are administrative issues, but the delay is not purely administrative. It's political, it's intentional, it's deliberate. He said when Pretoria was signed, it was implemented, the start was good, guns are silenced, but services restored gradually, but then gradually the implementation slowed down. It's deliberate. This first point is very important. Secondly, who should be held accountable for the war in Tigray? He said, those who gave orders. Should Abiy and Isas Afwerki face a trial at an international court? He said yes. He said yes, they gave the orders. So who gave the orders should be facing trials and at international courts. Second, very important, at a time when there is atmosphere of reconciliation, he wants PM Abiy to face a trial at an international court. Isas Afwerki too. Thirdly, genocide. This has been Tigray's consistent position that genocide was committed against Tigray. He said the same, that deliberately Tigray was destroyed, put under siege, aid denied, institutions destroyed, factories looted. So it was deliberate genocide which was committed, and genociders should be held accountable. DDR, very important point, disarmament, demobilization, reintegration of Tigray fight. He said no DDR until complete withdrawal of Amhara forces and Eritrean military. He claimed the Eritrean military is in occupation of Tigray territories, Amhara forces too. He said it's the responsibility of federal government. Federal government has Amharas as its part. Amharas are part of federal government. Eritrea is in alliance with PM Abiy. He said that. Though everyone knows that these days Abiy Isaias are not on good terms. But he said that Eritrea is an ally of Ethiopian Abiy. That is why the responsibility of federal government PM Abiy to ensure the withdrawal of Amhara forces and Eritrean military from Tigray territories. No DDR until complete withdrawal of Amhara forces and Eritrean military. And even after the withdrawal of all forces, DDR will be gradual. It will be done in accordance with the security situation in Tigray. Hundreds of thousands of fighters cannot be just demobilized, disarmed in a few days. It will take time. He said that on its own, Tigray is demobilizing its fighters. It cannot keep military of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. So on its own, without any support, Tigray is disarming, demobilizing its fighters. But complete DDR will only happen after the withdrawal of all forces. Fourthly, will Tigray take revenge? He said, no, Tigray won't take revenge, but people responsible for atrocities, crime should be held accountable. This is what Tigray's demand. It means that if people are not held accountable, Tigray will have the right to take revenge. So he did not say that, but he said that yes, we don't want to take revenge, but people should be held accountable. Independence of Tigray. He said, I cannot rule that out. We can exist with Ethiopia. He said that. We can survive together. Yes, we have different vision of how a country should be run, and PP has a different vision. We can coexist. Talks happening between TPLF and Prosperity Party. We can live together. But independence is in accordance, it should be in accordance with the constitution. Anything like referendum, etc., should be in accordance with Ethiopian constitution. He said, we cannot rule out independence of Tigray. Security. He said Tigray should have, it should take over the security in all parts of Tigray. All those parts which are part of Tigray before the start of war. Basically, he was saying that Tigray forces should be allowed to take over security in Raya, Salamti, Wolkait. In Raya, Tigray forces by force took over security in most parts. In Salamti, no, only IDP returning. In Wolkait, Amhara, provincial government in power there. So he wants Tigray's authority to be extended to the disputed territories. So these were some main points which he raised in his interview. Question is how to sum up. Well, I have heard Getachew speak about Pretoria implementation. I have heard other leaders to Tadesse Varade, Sadkan, to no one seemed as frustrated as Debretsion Gebremichael. No one used this type of language which Debretsion used today. He wants the Prime Minister of Ethiopia to face a trial at an international court. It's like war is ongoing. Such demands were made during the war. Now they are signatories to an agreement. They're allies, you can say. Debretsion definitely lashed out at the federal government, showing that TPLF is frustrated. Why? It's because of internal divisions in the party. One group led by Getachew Sadkan is closer to federal government than the other group led by Munjerino Debretsion Alam. This group, that is why, is putting more pressure upon federal government. This group is the strongest group in TPLF, by the way. It can undermine, it can totally go against Pretoria deal. This group is putting pressure. It wants complete restoration of TPLF status. It wants, maybe it wants to change the president to in Tigray. It wants election as early as possible in Tigray. It wants Tigray forces to take over Volkai, Salamtira. Lots of demands of this group. Let's see, when we heard from the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, he said that TPLF agreed to withdraw from its demand for independence. And that is why Ethiopian government signed Pretoria. He said that in the parliament, but Debretsion said no. Independence cannot be ruled out. It's an option. But it should be in accordance with the Ethiopian constitution. Secondly, he accused the federal government that federal government started the war. He said the interviewer asked a question about TDF's attack on Northern Command and holding of elections, and what these two factors, main causes behind the start of war. He said no. The preparation for war started way before the holding of election in Tigray. So he accused the federal government for starting the war. He accused federal government of Ethiopian Eritrean for grave human rights abuses, for genocide in Tigray, and he wants Ethiopian government to be held accountable. He believes Ethiopian government is not sincere in implementing Pretoria deal. At the same time, he said, yes, Tigray is ready to have a role on federal level. Talks should be held. Tigray can coexist with the Prosperity Party. So this is what he said. It shows frustration in TPLF camp. I did a video about war of words between Getachew and LM Gebrewahid, the Debretsian camp. Maybe the Debretsian camp feels left out, that it is not being taken on board by Addis Ababa and Tigray interim government. That is why it should put pressure upon the federal government and Tigray interim government through such interviews. Let's see how this interview is seen in Addis Ababa and in Mekelle too by Tigray interim president. Thank you for watching.